Bam! And before I start today, I just have a quick favor to ask. I know I never ask you any favors. Actually, I kind of do by asking you if you can listen to what I'm going to say. But, I don't ask for much, but all I do ask is if something resonates with you on any of these shows, to please share it with someone, or not necessarily share the episode itself, but share the sentiment of those episodes. There have been a lot of instances where a lot of people are saying that things are helping them specifically, but if you find that it'll be beneficial for someone else, please share that love. We don't care, well, I don't care about this podcast getting big or anything. What I care about is people using whatever it is that I can put out there, or that other people have given me to put out there, to benefit everyone else, okay? We're not here for ourselves. We are here for everyone else. So it's pretty cool. Like, if you think about this right now, you are probably listening to this on your phone, or you're listening to this through your laptop, or you're listening to this on something, right? We are connected. And it just makes me think, man, goodness gracious, the smartphone, everything that we could ever want in this world is pretty much now on something that we can keep on our person, right? You can keep it in your little side pocket, if you've got some pockets on your shorts, or if you're one of those people who likes to wear a little shirt with this little pocket on the front of your shirt, you can put it in there as well. And what do you have in there? You have, you can shop for anything that you want in there. You can contact anyone. You can look up someone before you're going to go meet them. So say, for example, you look in someone like, oh yeah, who's going to be at this meeting? You see who's been CC'd into it, or, oh, look at this guy. You can type their name into whatever it is that you're going to search, and you can probably Google them. You can find a profile for them. You can pretty much know everything about a whole bunch of people before you even meet them, right? So, the smartphone. Who remembers the regular old dumb phone? Are you allowed to say dumb anymore? Am I going to get cancelled? Anyway, but the dumb phone, the opposite of smart, the not as intelligent phone. You remember those? Back in the day when basically all you had were a couple of buttons, and instead of being able to type like it was a keyboard on your phone, you had ABC, DEF, yeah, and 2, 3, and you were using all the different numbers. I got so good at it, I could do it without looking. The only problem was, if I was doing it without looking and pretending I wasn't texting, the numbers were so thick, they'd be like... And I got so good through the middle zones that the numbers actually got scraped off. And it kind of did like a T, on the row of the 4, 5, 6, and then down to the 8. All through there. Sometimes if you couldn't be bothered, so say you wanted to do ABC, say it's you wanted to do ABBA, A, B, B, A. You go A, which is a 2, but then you needed to wait a couple seconds, and then it will let you go again, because if you click it twice, or if you click it 3 times, that will go A, B, C. But if you wanted to go A, then B, then B, then A, for your favorite Swedish group to make music, you had to go A, wait, and then it will move over. B, 2 clicks. So what you would do, if you got really, really quick with it, you'd go A, space, backspace, bam, and then you can push it again. So that's just to show you basically, where the technology has kind of increased in that time. And I must just say, I just saw him walk by. I just saw him walk by. If you do hear a vacuum or a hoover, the man, there it is. The man is in here making it happen. So yes, we do share this space, and there are people who do hoovering around here. But anyway, the good old dumb phone, Snake was a game that we used to play a lot of the time, and pretty much all the things you could do was text, call, play Snake, and ringtones if you were lucky. And if you had one of the more updated versions of the phone, you can get polyphonics, and that stuff used to cost. And I think the coolest thing that came after that was free text weekend. So if you were on Vodafone, you could text anyone else who was Vodafone's, and you could write as many times as you want. And in that time, we had chain mail come through. So if you don't share this to 5 people, Annabelle's going to come to your door and stab you at midnight tonight. Or send this to 26 people, don't break the chain, or your love will never love you. All of that sort of stuff. That was how connected we were back then. But at the same time, we didn't have the world at our fingertips unless we were at our phones. Right? But before that, there was kind of a transition period before where we would have to wait to the weekends or wait till you had credit. Now there's so many different avenues that you can actually get at different people. I just remember, it used to be maybe just text every now and then, or I'd use my dad's phone to text people. I didn't get a phone till quite late, but that was just to know where it was we were going to meet. And all we would do was organize where we were going to meet, and there would be no text after that. Once you say, okay, at this time, we are going to be here, no objection. The only way that you could cancel if you were going to be there is by calling their home phone. And you say, oh, hi, Lucy, is John home? She'd be like, oh, he's just on his way to the park now. He's coming to see you. And you're like, oh, no. So you have to take yourself to the park to tell him that you can't be there. That's how reliable we were. Now, because we can get in contact with people so quickly and we just think that we are the most important people, or me are the most important people with energy, we can just bail, And sometimes people don't even show up. Sometimes people don't show up because they're just like, nah, he hasn't texted me back. He must have forgotten. Some people are still running on the same damn time that we were back in my day. Back when you decided a time, and even if that time was decided 3 weeks ago, we will never forget. Right? We will never forget. So anyway, that's just a whole lot about nothing. And I guess another thing on top of that is that, we get called the smartphone and the dumb phone, and with that, you learn a lot of random facts when you didn't have that smartphone, because you had to retain facts because you wanted to be that person who could know everything about everything. But it doesn't matter if you know things anymore, because we can Google everything. We've changed the way that we know knowledge, right? We don't have to read encyclopedias anymore unless that's how you like to take information. And if you want to know something right then, you could just Google it, and sometimes you'd go ask, or like that's how we do it now. And you have the device to be able to do it at the end of your fingertips. But back then, gosh, you want to know something? And you go ask someone that someone that you think is the smartest person. So it's always one of your parents or like one of your parents' friends. You're like, oh, he always knows everything. And if they didn't know, or if your teacher didn't know, apparently the teacher was the smartest person in the world. If they didn't know, ain't no one know. Ain't no one know. So anyway, talking about people knowing, we did a quiz today, the quiz, and I'm trash. I'm trash at the quiz. And then we did the sports quiz, and everyone was like, oh, Troy, you're going to lead this one. Bruh, I don't like sport. Well, I like sport, but I don't like sport facts and all that sort of stuff. I think that's quite boring. So I'm not really up to play with all of that sort of stuff. So that was interesting, and this kind of makes me think about the situations where you feel smart or where you feel really, really dumb. And it's such a weird thing, because I never really thought that I would ever feel dumb. But then again, when I do reflect on it, there are a lot of times that I feel dumb. And I feel dumb in a lot of different contexts. And I think in that situation, because people were expecting me to be a particular sort of way, I felt a bit silly, because I didn't give them what they wanted. So that again is kind of thinking about what other people's expectations were of me, and because they were expecting it and I didn't provide, even though I couldn't get any smarter in that time because I wasn't allowed to use my smartphone, I felt, kind of silly. I felt kind of dumb. There's also other areas where I'm in, or in situations that I'm in where, in work, in my new job right now, a lot of the stuff goes right over my head, and I'm like, should I know this stuff? And then I just think, like, do other people expect me to know this stuff? So, yeah, I mean, what situations, just think about yourself. What situations do you feel that you are, dumb? What makes it, what is it about those different situations that make you feel like, you're just way in over your head? Is it because you genuinely do not know what you can offer in that area? Because there's sometimes where people talk about specific things, where they're talking about, this is what I do, blah, 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 blah. And then people can start going off on those sorts of things. I think, now that I think about it, I think the times where I feel the most dumb is because I care about something, because this is an area I really, really care about, but I can't contribute to the conversation. Maybe that's when I feel the most dumb, because there are some things when people are talking about like math or like different types of history and stuff, like cool, it's interesting and all that sort of stuff, but I've never seen its relevance in my own life. And I know that history is very, very important. I understand that. But the concept of history I do love, but particular dates and all that sort of stuff, and knowing like these sorts of dynasties, blah, 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 blah. You know, I don't care for that too much. So when people start arguing the particulars of that, I don't necessarily feel dumb because I genuinely don't care. So I think it comes down to that thing that I've always spoken about, which is when you start to really care about something, and when you start to really bring it into who it is that you are, or if this starts to break away the true essence of who you are, and you can't provide when you think you need to provide, that's when it starts to hurt a little bit. I don't know if you agree, but if you do agree, let me know. If you don't agree, that's also fine, because that's how we learn. And speaking of learning, you're going to hear this after a second game, but first game we won against Southern, and it was a pretty damn good game, but we got absolutely sprayed at training because there are so many things that we can do better, and there is nothing better than knowing that you can do better. So yeah, how good is that?
Microphone, mic check, 1, 2.
It's gonna be alright.
See the CD got me feeling free, living life with a sight on eternity. No longer bound by the shackles I'm found. I'm living your pride, not hearing my sound. It is a melody of hallelujah to my enemies. Cause Psalms at 23, my shepherd forming heavenly. For you are with me, I fear no evil. There is no secret, we are your people that ain't in piety. Grace that inspires me, changed by the face of the man who's died for me. Taking my place with the love that defiance he came face to face with that dove, now we Siamese. And I believe that was a fire breathe. Holy Spirit flowing moment, thanking God for what I see. Hey, way more than propriety. The God up on the universe, he really died for you and me. But he rose in, it's like they got me talking light,
and it's gonna be alright. Oh yeah, and that again is my boy SG, and he always brings that fire right there. You know that song. I've played that multiple times. I've also played that with the little remix with our boy Ray playing the bass on that one. So, it's May. It's May already. By the time you're listening to this, it is May. And May is the question, you know, May is the it could be. You know, the proposition that something could be something. May I? Maybe? It may. It's almost like there's potential for something to happen, but it doesn't quite happen. Or it could happen. We're speculating about the future. And May is that month. You know, we're not quite halfway through, but we're starting to find that groove, you know. I honestly felt like April just was here, but May's here. May I? You may. Or you can also use it in that way as well, where you actually allow something to happen. But May. You know, I think May is a word that I use a lot. When I talk, what I found and what people have noticed is that I would say I think or maybe quite a bit before I start talking. Because I don't have that confidence. You know, I don't want to say something and then someone thinks I'm an absolute idiot for doing it, and then get told, you know, oh, why'd you say that? So if I put potentially or like, you know, some sort of proposition that maybe it could happen, I feel safer, because if they say nah, I was like, well, maybe not. That's why. I gave them a 50-50. So I'm out of it. And then also, I think it also comes from the way that I write in terms of my research. So research, a lot of the time you don't actually give answers to anything. Like what you're trying to discover is you're just trying to discover something more true than it was before. You're not discovering the truth. You'll never discover the truth, but because we can only look at things through a very tiny microscopic hole. Very, very tiny. You know, what you have scope of is the scope of your biases and everything that you know. So if you say that this is the truth, you have to preface that in everything that you have used to view the world the way that you viewed it. And this is why social media is annoying when it comes to anything exercise related or anything where people are just like, this is what causes you to lose fat. This is what will make you get a six pack. This is what will make you get strong. This is what will make you grow the longest luscious hair. And this will make you play like Damian McKenzie. There is no A plus B equals C. This, under these conditions, with this sort of spotlight and the way that you view it from that side, will lead to something that kind of looks like that. That is how everything should be prefaced, because everyone has a worldview and everyone tests things and runs things differently, right? And all of those different things are going to play into how the outcomes come out. Now, the reason why I had to talk about that is because perspective is what gives us how we view the world. Perspective is what we put on everything. And the reason why I want to talk about perspective a little bit is because it's been the hugest week of all time for me, and it's only been a 4-day week. Last week was a 4-day week because we had Anzac Day observed on that Monday, and then we had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. In that week, it was really, really hard, and I've just found that my energy has been so low, and I found that my energy has been very negative, and I found that my energy, I've been wanting to snap at a lot of people, and I don't know if it's necessary, and I haven't talked to anyone about it because I just feel like maybe I'm tired, or maybe there's something else that's going on. And what I've realized is that a lot of it does just come down to perspective, because when I told myself that I am acting the way I'm acting because I've kind of allowed myself to act that way by saying I'm just cranky right now, and if I say that, I can start to believe it, right? So if I just justify things by just saying, I'm the reason I'm like that is because I've got a short fuse, I can start to believe that, and I can start to dismiss anything that I can do to make that not part of who I want to be, because I don't want to be that. Anger and all of those really annoying little niggly sort of feelings and emotions are actually, that's quite tiring. I don't like it. So with perspective, what I've been trying to do is just, put a lot of different energy into what I was doing. So, this week was one of the longest weeks, even though it's 4 weeks, and I'll talk about what actually happened in that time. But one of the biggest things I've been trying to do is not wallow and feel sad, because I wake up every morning and my first thing I want to do is just be sad and just feel like I don't want to get out of bed and feel like, why me? Why is this happening to me? All the bad that could happen, all the bad that I can feel right now, this always happens to me. And yes, it does happen to me, but I'm not the only one that this happens to. And I can't let that, I can't continue to justify me just being late to work or not bringing 100% of my energy just because that's who I am as a person. That's not who I am as a person. There was a time in my life where, I didn't have to be like that. It may have been a very, very, very small part of my life, or it may have been a few days every now and then, just some sprinkling on the top. But I can do it. So what if I started changing my perspective from I'm the sad guy, I'm that angry guy, and this is just the way that I am, to remembering all those nice, glimmering moments of me actually being that person who had that energy? What if I change my perspective and I'm just like, I can be that. That's who I am. So what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to get up, and when I need to do something, just get up and do it. The moment I start thinking about it, because of how I am and how my brain works and how it can put together an entire sequence of the beautifulest dance you've ever seen, before it can start thinking about the different sounds it's going to hear, the light that's going to come on, who's going to be dressed in what, I just need to do it. Otherwise, excuses start to come. Rationale, I can rationale the shit out of anything. All of that starts to come. And then we get nowhere. We get nowhere at all. And from there, it reminds me of what our coach said on the weekend. If you are reaching for a tackle, you're already too late. So if you're already thinking about why you shouldn't do something, you're already too late. So before you give yourself that option to start thinking about something, just get up and do it. So that might be your one thing to take away from today. The other thing you might take away from today is to never listen to this podcast again, because all I do is talk shit. So yeah, anyway, cool. The huge week that I went through. The first is probably the most bummer-ish stuff that I've gone through. So I'll tell you about that, but then I'll explain it a little bit more shortly. But basically, I'm injured. I was injured from the very, very get-go when I started to play rugby again, and obviously I injured my ribs. But on the weekend just gone, I tore my tricep. So yeah, and we heard it as well. It sounded like Velcro ripping, or it sounded like when someone rips a shirt. And the other guy said he heard it as well, which is kind of, yeah, it's pretty dogs that had to happen this early. And, the pain is fine. And I did have a why me moment, and I have been having why me moments because I'm going to be out for over a month to let it come back. But everyone's been very, very supportive. My physio has been just outstanding with how he's been taking me through a lot of things. And I guess the only one who needs to be nicer to myself is me, because obviously I'm sad that happened. But I'm also gutted because, I'm itching. I'm still going to training. I'm still going to the games to watch everyone. I'm just itching to be on. And there are a lot of times where I just feel like, the mind's a powerful thing. The mind is a powerful thing because I can feel it and it hurts. And a lot of the actions that I do, it hurts. But when I start to think I'm feeling okay, I don't feel it as much. Even though, on the paper, on all the tests that I've done, the physical tests and all everything, it's definitely really, really bad. There's something, where there's a will, there's a way, and I always try to make that happen. So I guess the thing with that, and I think why it's upsetting me so much, and I have been talking to a few people about it because this kind of hit me. It hit me quite hard, is that, rugby was finally something where I felt like I had purpose again. Obviously I do have my work and all that sort of stuff, but I actually had camaraderie. I had good social circle, because a lot of, people who mattered a lot to me have left, and they were my friends, and they were people who, I looked forward to spending time with, and they're all gone now. And, there are still really, really good people around, but, there's a few important people, and they're gone now. And I guess because rugby was my thing, and it's this weird thing where I talked to Jazz Hotham about it actually when she went to a sevens tournament, but you're part of the team, and when the team triumphs, you're there, you're part of the team, you were chosen for the team that does triumph, but you're not part of the team. You didn't put the kit on and you didn't go out there and you feel like you couldn't contribute to anything. So I guess a difficult thing for me is just trying to realign what my purpose is for the next 4 to 6 weeks with the team, because I can't really do much at training. All I can do is be there and try to offer as much support as possible. I can do the fitness training, and I can continue to do my own fitness training. So maybe my contribution is, this byproduct of me making sure that I stay healthy. And I'm ready to come back when I'm ready to come back. So, I think that's going to be the journey for the next couple of weeks. And I'll give you updates as we go. But yeah, it's been a weird thing because rugby has really, I feel like it saved me a lot. And I feel like it's really given me, that purpose. It makes me feel like, there's a bunch of people who like me. There's a bunch of people who appreciate who I am. And they just like me having me around. So yeah, it's definitely difficult, but we're getting there. Cool. So that's my injury. So all in this 4-day week, I got my PhD reports back. So basically when I submitted my PhD in December, you get markers. Markers will mark the stuff and they'll go through and they'll just critique everything that you said. And my reports came back and they look incredible. Incredible in a way. So I've never seen a PhD report, but they're short. There's nothing much that I have to change to be able to go and defend it, and they're pretty happy with what was presented. So I can't talk too much about that until I've actually done my defense, and I'll do a whole episode on the defense and how that went, because I think it'll be awesome for you to hear. But basically all I can say is that I'm extremely proud of what I was able to do with my PhD. My examiners were very impressed with the work that I had put forward. All of the exercise stuff that I had, the stat stuff that I had, all of the stuff that I was really worried about, that I was just like, yeah, shit, this is not really, this is the stuff that gets really, really scrutinized. No comment whatsoever on that. They were very, very happy with it. So I just need to back myself a little bit more on that stuff and, just be happy that I put in the work, and just realize that, remember that I did put in the work. And when it comes to the work that I did do, I am the only one in the world who has done it. So yeah, be extremely happy with that, be extremely proud of it, but just make sure that, I don't get complacent because I still have to defend it. So that's my last step before being conferred as a doctor, is to defend my PhD, which will hopefully be in the next month or so. And then after that, it's all on. It is all on. I might wear pants to work. No. I know that. Anyway, cool. So that's that. I also got an offer on my contract extension, so I am negotiating where it is that I go for the next 2 years. So that's also been in the mix. So this is all happening within, this only happened, in 4 days. This is in a 4-day window. All of this happened. And then I got offered another contract to be a lead investigator on another contract or another piece of work. And this work could be really, really cool. It's to do with mental health in children, but in relation to geospatial areas, which is something that I can't talk about too much just yet, but we put in a huge application for that, and I'm leading a particular section of that. So it's kind of cool. I went in as this exercise scientist. Now I'm just kind of dealing with health and kind of a whole bunch of different areas. So, man, it's weird because we talk about the dumb phone before, and we talk about me doing a quiz where I don't know shit, and I'm still coming into these areas, and a lot of people want me for the expertise that I have. So what I'm trying to say to people is that there are going to be a lot of times where you doubt what you actually know, but if you know what you know, and you do what you do, and you stay true to who it is that you are, and you don't say yes to things that don't align with your values, but you make sure that you're always honest with who you are, I think you're always going to be safe. And people appreciate honesty. People appreciate when you can acknowledge your limitations, and people appreciate when you absolutely own what it is you're good at. No one likes having to babysit someone through everything and having to fish for compliments, and you're just like, no, but you are good, babe. And then having to say like, oh yes, shit, but you're not too good at that. It's really, really hard. If you know your own flaws, but you also know your own areas that you excel at, people love you, because then from there you have initiative. So how good is that? And the last thing is for the current project that I'm working on, we got some data verified, so that kind of leads on to the work that I will be doing from there. So with what I'm doing, I'm able to go and access a whole lot of big data. So big data sets that pretty much just, it's so cool because you get a whole lot of access to like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of data points from people throughout New Zealand accessing different healthcare services. And from there, we can look at different projections depending on everything. But don't worry, it's all anonymized. I can't see anyone or anything. Basically, all we see is the trends and stuff of people who use different services. So my stuff that I put together for the first time got approved. So from there, I'm allowed to go forward and continue with that research, which I can tell you a little bit about in the future. So from the field, I didn't put out any questions today, but what I did do was get this and ask if I could share it with you. So basically, Ganantha, thank you so much. Every single time, you are the one who takes your time out to make sure that everyone's going okay, and you really do care about me, and you make sure that I'm doing okay, and you make sure that I'm not being too hard on myself. But I saw this, I saw you write this, and I wanted to read it out for everyone else to hear, because I believe that this is something that we all need to hear. And I definitely need to hear it, and I'm probably going to read this out, and I'm going to replay it in my ear multiple times. So let me have a drink of that. And now, let's get into it. Says, hi, excuse me, I was just wondering if you could be more kind to yourself. I was also wondering if you can find a way to kick out any thoughts that are living in your mind rent-free right now. They belong on the curb. Also, while you're at it, do you reckon you can maybe kinda possibly stop talking smack about yourself? You wouldn't talk the same smack to others, so why are you talking that smack about yourself, you silly Billy? Sure, treat others the way you want to be treated, but also treat yourself with the same love and respect you're treating others with. Love you so much. And we all love you. And all of that stuff, that's the stuff that I try to tell myself all the time. That I just wish I could stop being so hard on myself. And I just wish that people who cared about me and told me all of this sort of stuff and just said, oh, you know what, I really do care about you. We're all going to be okay. I wish that I could remember what that felt like to finally feel okay, because then I can carry that over to different moments. But it's almost like I got a really short attention span for stuff, or for when people care about me. It's like I just am on flight mode when it comes to other people throwing feelings my way, or how much people care about me. It's like I don't have the receptors for it. it's like I'm feeling resistant, you know, like I don't have those, maybe because I didn't adapt, maybe because I didn't get enough of it when I was younger, or maybe something happened where maybe I put up some sort of defense where I can't let it in. I can't let that stuff get to me, and it just won't happen. And because of that, my hardware, or the toys in the box, or the pieces in the box that came when I was put together, you know, that stuff was left out because they didn't think I would need it. You know, because of my track record, they're like, oh yeah, well, because of the way that he is, or because of the way that he lives life, you know, he's not going to need the feeling feelers. Or he's not going to need the response to care that everyone else needs. And he's going to find it harder to be able to feel that. So, you know, that's something that I am working through. And I do hear it. I do hear the love that everyone gives me. And there are so many people who care about me. And there are so many people who just, you know, wish I wasn't so hard on myself. And they're just like, you know, I just wish you could feel the love that we have for you. And I do too. I feel it though. I feel it in that moment. And it just goes away so quickly. Like, I'll forget that I even felt it. And it takes a very long time to get back to that state. So, yeah, I mean, that's just who I am. But I'm getting there. I promise I'm getting there. And I think being surrounded by a lot of people who just, you know, love me for the work that I do, and not necessarily, you know, people who I'm getting to know now who don't know any of this about me, who don't know that I have a hard time to feel all this sort of stuff, who don't know that I have a hard time just trying to be okay with different things, who don't know that I'm always uncomfortable. You know, I'm always just trying to be like, please, let's just get through this day and I'll be fine. You know, people who don't know that about me, and they just kind of take me at who I am. You know, they don't have that sort of guise over them where they're just like, oh no, he's just doing that because, you know, he's got problems. And then they're just like, well, we can just let him slide. I've got people who will call me out if I'm not being a good person because they don't know that side about me. And they don't have to know. So all I can do right now, because I can't be a rugby player, I can be the best researcher that I can be. I can be the loving, most kind person that I can be, because that's who I am in my nature. And I can just be the person who can bring as much energy or positive energy or happiness to as many people as I can without going out of my way. So the easiest thing for me to do is to talk to myself, and then hopefully you hear it too and it resonates with you. So my goal for this week, I had an episode, the last solo episode, I was talking about rest. My episode this week is to make sure that I take everything into consideration that I've been talking about. I'm not a rugby player. That's not my identity. My identity as a person who wants better for my communities, a person who will continue to serve until everyone else has their cups filled as well. But I continue to make sure that I have that rest so that I can fill my cup. And I guess this time I just have to take rest because I've been forced to take rest. So from here I can properly recover, and I can not just properly recover the muscle tear that I have, but also any other niggles that I have in my body, but also where my brain's at, where my mind's at, where the rest of my spirit is at. Because I want to be fine. I really, 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 really want to be fine. And I'm going to be fine. And we're all going to be fine. And it's just so good to be here again. And I'm so lucky and privileged that all of you tune in to actually listen to this and make sure that we're going to have a good time. So, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for listening in. A nice short episode today. This was just a bit of an update. And for all of you listening, you know, when I said sometimes you just have to get up and do it, I didn't want to come and do this afternoon or this evening. I wanted to leave it to Sunday, but I just knew that come Sunday, I will thank myself for doing this today. So, yeah. Appreciate you all. Please, if you can, share some ideas with different people. But other than that, I love you. Stay safe. Up the canes. And also, just love yourself. You all deserve to love yourselves.
They got me preaching on the beat about my brother JC. See the sun up in the heavens, it's so closer than me. G.O.D. now I believe that love is growing a tree. Say goodbye from the fruit that I'm stolen with you. He said fire to my booth and now we're falling so free. So I cry to my God, that's Holy Trinity. Gassed up on the love I can't proclaim enough. But now I pray that's us. We live in days by trust, damn. Living days by trust, damn.
Love you all.